never know the heartache of looking a grown man in the eye, and he asked, am I gonna make it? And you gotta lie. Well, they call me Doc, but I ain't got no degree. When shit hits the fan, they're calling for me. From bluegrass Kentucky, with red blood on my hands, nobody calls me hero except for my friends. Yeah, they call me Doc.
Hello, everyone. What's up, guys?
What's going on, man?
Hello
How you
to
doing,
all
bro?
of our new listeners that are starting to build and watching our show with us. We thank you all for being here. I am Rod Doc Walbeck, Hospital Corpsman, United States Navy veteran. With me today is my co-host, my blood brother, Joe Misfit Glenn, United States Army Combat Medic. And welcome to our third episode of Sick Call with Doc. There for you then, and we're here for you now.
Hell yeah.
Quick mission statement, so we always know why we're here. Our mission is simple. We want to provide a platform for veterans to speak their minds, tell their stories as they see fit, unfiltered and uncensored by the mainstream media. We want to bring awareness to the challenges and struggles facing our veterans every day. We want to shed light on organizations and government agencies that are either helping or hindering the healing of our fellow veterans' mind, body, and spirit. We want to inspire and bring hope to all veterans and to do our part to help eradicate veteran suicide.
Oh, yeah.
We want to also, lastly, want to educate the world on how veterans, on their own initiative, are saving their own lives through the use of cannabis. And with that, welcome to the show. Let me get it right. Senior Airman Michael Wirtshafter.
Good afternoon.
United States Air Force. Welcome aboard, brother.
Thank you.
How
Welcome,
are you,
Michael.
What's up, Joe?
We'll start out simple, Michael. You had a choice to either come on or not come on. And you saw what our mission was, and it must have connected with you. What brings you here today?
All right. Your mission, as you stated, to make it more knowledgeable for our brothers and sisters to be more proactive in their own health care, mentally, psychologically, and physically.
Mm-hmm.
I have had to become proactive in my own health and my own recoveries to get away from the opiate-based medications, and in 92, actually walking away from the VA system entirely.
I got it. Well, we have found the same similar story from so many of our brothers and sisters. They were kids. They joined. They went and did stuff. They came home. Pharmaceuticals, VA, cannabis. It's kind of we're seeing a cycle, huh, Joe?
Yeah, it's a straight cycle. I mean, like verbatim too, in that order, exactly the way you put that down, Rod. You know,
Yeah.
They did their service, they did their time, they went and experienced life, they got out, and they were left. They were forgotten. They were decommissioned. We're seeing it all over the place, man. And that's what this show's about, is to let the world know this is happening, and you can get over this.
Yeah, Michael, Joe and I'm sure I speak for everybody. We thank you for your service, brother.
Yes.
You're welcome.
First and foremost. So for our listeners, paint us a picture, Michael. Maybe a little bit before you went in, what kind of family maybe you grew up in, what you were doing, why you joined the military, and we'll go from there, brother.
I grew up in a military family. I had a senior master sergeant for a stepfather and a captain for a mother. So military basics and stuff like your dorm room, I sort of had that down to a science by the time I got in there. I went in, combat weapons specialist. I started and studied very hard for the first year and a half or so. I pushed myself for passing small arms marksmanship almost within my first year. I passed my sergeant's bar first time, and was pushing myself to excel in the field that Uncle Sam thought I was going to be beneficial in. And September 23, 1988, on the Tonopah Range was a accident. And helicopter crash, gentlemen. I don't like talking about it. I'll make it brief. 7-man crew, myself and one other survived. I got to experience what paralysis is all about. I got to experience the guilt feeling of why me? Why didn't the man or woman upstairs punch my button too? And then going through the, you know, the pushback of the doctor saying we have movement in the toes, we have feeling, we have this, we have that. You can push yourself, and after some surgeries, we might be able to get your legs back. Well, it only took one major surgery and me pushing myself in physical therapy to get my legs back, and that's what mattered to me the most.
Amazing.
Amazing, bro.
I came out under a black cloud. Don't really get much in the regards to VA benefits. Walked away from the VA system in '92 when I was fed up with all the opiates that they were shoving down my throat. I've gone through a battery of Vicodin, Darvon, Demerol, Percocet, Oxycontin, Suboxone, benzos for anxiety. There was a couple other ones, Klonopin, a few other, just battery of pills, and I just got sick of it. In '92, I basically flipped off the walked away from the program and became proactive in my own healthcare. By the late to early '90s, I had joined Normal. Now, understand, I'm still on the West Coast at this time. Normal at the time was the National Organization to Reform Marijuana Legislation. I still believe that that is their moniker. And I started seeing the writing on the wall for the state of Nevada in '97, '98. I knew it was going to come to fruition. Came back to the East Coast in '99 and became active in the state of Delaware with Normal and with a program called the Cannabis Advocacy Network, which is in Kent County, which is one of the 3 counties in the state of Delaware. And bit by bit showed people that I used to carry around like a half a shoebox full of empty pill containers. I, of course, scratched my name or scratched out certain information, but they could see it was my name and what I was getting, you know, whether it was the Vicodin, the Darvon, that, and showing them, I don't take this because I consume this. And this was cannabis, whether it was in the form of flour, a concentrate such as distillate, or another capacity of it, which we all remember from the 70s, hash. And now I've become proactive and gotten off. The only medication I now take is a 10 milligram statin for cholesterol, because cannabis doesn't affect that. But everything else, I'm free and clear of. I became proactive in society. I didn't lose my life. I didn't lose my wife. I didn't lose my house.
God bless. Yeah.
And we all experienced a rather worldly phenomena in 2020 called COVID. That's when flowers and food, which is my hope to be soon dream come to reality, which is I created an edibles business under my house to keep my roof over my head and make money keep flowing in when the government wasn't paying us a dime.
Bravo, Zulu, brother.
Yeah, man. That's
So
awesome.
let me,
And that's what I found, that you can eat anywhere in front. You can stand in front of the most religious, most Bible thumping individual in the world that is totally anti cannabis, anti this, anti that. You can eat an infused cookie right in front of him. He ain't gonna know a fucking thing. But you know you're medicating yourself and keeping yourself balanced.
Mm-hmm.
He or she in front of you, who cares what they think? You know you're taking care of yourself.
yeah, it's a little different than a fifth of Jack Daniels in your belly. You act a lot different on CBD and THC than you do alcohol, for sure,
And
brother.
that's the other thing is, I used to drink like a fish. I barely drink at all now. I drink when I cook, or maybe if it's a small gathering, I might have a beer or 2 fingers over ice cube, but that's it. I'm not draining the fifth in 2 days.
Let me ask you this, and I have another question to kind of back you up to your service time. Were you drinking and doing the pills, bro? Like I used to do when I was a dummy? Yeah.
Pills, a 6-pack of beer, and a third of half a Jack a night.
Self-medicating on top of the pharmaceuticals because they're not helping you, right?
Well, yeah, they weren't helping me, or they were helping me only to a certain point, and then bending the world a little bit. And I was like, fuck that, I'm gonna bend it back my way.
And it's normally not just physical ailment things or physical injury, old injury. It's mental, it's spiritual, it's vibes, it's your aura. It's all just goes under the rug when you're on the pills like that.
You know, one thing that you haven't mentioned is clarity. Because Michael, cannabis helped me stop drinking. I'm over a year sober. I'm really proud of that. Rod's been with me the whole time. He's seen my changes. The clarity that I gained from getting rid of alcohol. Now, this is a disclaimer. I didn't want to stop drinking. I love alcohol. I'll tell you that honestly right here, right now. But it doesn't serve the purpose it once did. It hurts me more than it helped me. And so I had to let that go and put it over on the shelf. I used to love drinking while I cooked. I used to love drinking anytime. But cannabis can help you get off alcohol too, completely. Just like you said, it helps you control what you could and couldn't do with alcohol, you know? And that's a plus.
I don't need the alcohol stimulus any longer. If I do, it's I'm making spaghetti sauce and I'm using a Beaujolais, and so I'm having a glass of it and I'm putting it in with the sauce. Or I'm making bourbon glazed burnt ends, and I'm using a little bit of bourbon in the sauce. So I might have a glass with a finger.
That's flavor. That's just for flavor, brother.
Yeah.
But that's not to sit around and just get sauced. It's just to,
and the beautiful thing, and take it from me, 18 beers a day, 7 days a week for years. Not even a combat veteran, brother. Just things from childhood, the military, life decisions led me straight into 18 beers a day for years, 7 days a week, man.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? My things to do list never got done. And there ain't a day has gone by ever that was just cannabis alone that I didn't get my shit done.
Mm-hmm.
Call me a gateway drug. What? To get things done? Okay.
Right.
So let me back up a bit because we got time and this is your story.
Yeah, man.
Joining the Air Force, Michael. Did you consider yourself a 6 and out, 4 and out, or did you think at any time, I'm a lifer dog? This is it for me, man. I'm doing.
I had initially signed up for a 6-year hitch.
Yeah, right.
And was going to see where it took me. And I'm not going to lie to you. When I signed, I was also leaving a rather volatile situation at home.
Yep. Yes, sir.
So it was 1, an escape. It was 2, opening up another set of books for me to learn, because my last 2 years of high school, I sort of became a nerd and pushed myself to make sure that I, graduated with honors and that I had got everything that I needed to have, so that when I signed on the dotted line for Uncle Sam, which I did 6 months in advance of my graduation from high school, I came back and graduated in my dress clothes.
Nice. That's cool.
But yeah,
You just know that made him a stud in school, bro. Yeah.
you have to understand, I also grew up in a family that was totally anti this. It was always, because my mother was a nurse, it was always a pill. It was a pill for this and a pill for that, a pill for this.
Oh, yes.
Fuck that. And when I came home, she tried to do that, you know, motherly advice. Just try this, give it 90 days and see how it works. So once or twice I would, but then I'd also go, you have to understand why I learned about these pills, guys. I get a blood test every 90 to 120 days intentionally. And I do this, I've been doing this for the last probably 20, 25 years of my life. I'm 57 now. The reason why I did this is mom had hypoglycemia and dad had diabetes. Opposite ends of the blood spectrum, sugar levels on the blood spectrum. I learned to control it by diet, but I still got blood tests. Well, in these blood tests, you also learned what the opiates were doing to your pancreas, to your kidneys, to your liver, to your bone marrow density.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I don't have deep pockets to replace a pancreas. I don't have time to sit on a waiting list for 2.5 years for a kidney, and maybe I'll get one. Fuck that. I found that this plant, and disclosure, dad's side of the family was Jewish, and Israel is 25 years ahead of us with this plant. That's when I started realizing. I started reading stuff from overseas and stuff outside of the United States in regards to cannabis, and realizing mainstream media and Uncle Sam basically have been telling everybody this since what, 70 something, and we're now in the late 90s, and guess what, it's become like fact. It's like nobody's discussing it. Meanwhile, other countries are using this plant. This plant, I believe we were using this plant in our own medicine until 1937.
Yes, sir.
Here in the United States.
Yep.
So, and it was working then. So, because of a lie in 19, whatever it was, the guy with the pulp and the newspaper lying to Anslinger and saying, you know, this is going to harm my my crop, my business. So that's when they made hemp illegal, and that's when they fucked the world, or at least our slice of the world, because the rest of the world was evolving. They were listening to Mother Nature. They were listening to the plant. They were following what it does.
Yep.
We're just finally catching up.
Great points. Great point. You know, cannabis, if you think about it, now I haven't done the research exactly, but it's been here a while. Like,
yes.
Well, let's put it this way. I hope every veteran in the world listens to this. Why would the United States government, one, ban the plant, and two, secure a patent on cannabis sativa L between 1972 and 1974? Explain those two things to me.
I'll tell you. Money.
The market.
Yes.
We're in the money.
Yep. And it's sickening.
If you think about it, it was late 77, early 78 when they started talking about something called Marinol, which was a synthetic flop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Native Americans, if you look at some of their art, just here, American Native veterans, the peace pipe was tobacco.
No.
When you see these pictures of the stars and spaceships and stuff from Native Americans, man, the big gray wolves.
I believe at times it might have been tobacco, but when they were around their spiritual circle at night, praying to whoever they were praying to, I believe, yes, it was probably cannabis.
Yeah. Wow, bro. I wonder what that was like, huh? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, they were probably only finding the strains that had 1, 2, 3% THC, because, you know, in the 70s, the stuff the bricks that we were getting out of South America, that was only 10 to 12%
Mhm.
THC. Now
I'm
the plants
aware.
we have, we're up at 18 to 21 to almost 30% THC just by
Yep.
the evolution of the plant itself.
Yeah. And we've learned so much more about the endocannabinoid system, cannabinoids, terpenes, what they do. It's no longer grabbing a bag of a hand of some bag seed, throwing it behind your barn, and come check it out, in May, and come see what it looks like in October. It's no longer growing like those days, boys. It is serious stuff, and great medicine is being produced.
It's go to your man-made gorilla tent and unzip it and open it and figure
I love
and become God.
Yeah, I love the fact that these stories have a similar ring. And that ring is, I'm done with the program.
Yeah.
And I want to do my own research, educate myself on this stuff. Keep hearing all this hype, from the last 20 years, educating themselves and making changes in their life and losing some or all. Again, we're not here to diagnose or treat or tell anybody to do anything. We're here to share your story and educate people on what helped you so they can possibly help somebody else.
Like I said, by me making edibles, I've made it to the point where I make 16 to 24 sticks every 10 to 15 days. Each stick of butter's approximately 538.125 milligrams, but I use distillate when I infuse it. Now, for those that don't know it, and I'm sure you've spoken about it before, folks are aware distillate is basically the essential oil of the plant minus the terpene profiles.
The terpenes being the smells and the tastes of the plant.
Correct. This is approximately 50 grams of it. And each gram, and this strain and the THC count in this was 92.5% purity.
Nice.
So for each gram of distillate that I take from this and infuse into a stick of butter or into, well, I'm just going to stick with butter because that's where my mind's always at.
Mm-hmm.
Each stick of butter at that stage would be 925 milligrams.
Gotcha. That's impressive.
Wow.
People have to learn when they're being proactive and they're using concentrates, or they're using, and when I say concentrates, distillate, or if they're using an isolate, or if they're using something like cooking hash, you have to know your full strength before you start baking. Otherwise, you may make something that may be too strong for yourself. I learned I don't want to give myself couch lock except maybe on a Friday night. So
you're like your own personal researcher, like you have at the pharmaceutical labs, but you're doing it for yourself, trying to find your medicine.
Yeah.
That's basically, and that's what each individual has to do, because the amount of cannabis that I consume for my daily intake may be different than yours, or yours, Joe, or the dude down the street, because we've all endured different harms to our body, and our organs have been damaged from pharmaceuticals. You have to find out the soft spot for yourself, each individual. I know that if I consume 125 to 150 milligrams of cookies, 4 or 5 cookies at night with a glass of milk, I know that in 30 to 40 minutes, my back's going to release and relax enough that I can go lay down.
Yes.
And I can get me 6-7 hours of uninterrupted sleep.
Yep. That's the beauty of
it. I'm sorry, Joe. That's where the rejuvenation process even begins, brother.
Yeah.
If you ain't sleeping decent, you're not getting better decent. Period.
That's right.
It's very important.
Vets that, unfortunately, and I've had this discussion with a few vets, and a couple of them have broken the habit, but some are still in the habit of 4 hours, maybe 4.5 hours, and they're back awake again. I'm like, you're speeding up you're speeding up natural selection. You're speeding up your time clock. You got to give yourself 6.5, 7.5 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
The more sleep you give yourself, especially as we get older, the better. I'd like to still be kicking at 25 or 30 years.
I was
Me
thinking about having to sit there and dial in your own meds, and after lots of research and being very cautious and trying to get a good dial in, I know that if you try to do something like that at the pharmaceutical companies to test their product, you might not make that, bro. And in Canada, it ain't ever going to kill you. I mean, like, unless you took like unsurmountable enough to suppress your breathing. I mean, I don't even know how much that is. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know either.
Give you an example. That's 4 hash infused gummies. It's watermelon flavor. Each gummy, there's 4 in here. Each gummy's 25 milligrams. But some people can handle 25 milligrams. Others might have to cut it in half and go with 12.5, or even cut it down smaller to just a quarter of it and get 6.125. Like not true. When we were younger, we just started guzzling the beer. Unfortunately, in this, you have to start slow and low, like you do with your smoking meats. Slow and low, because if you jump into it too fast, you will force yourself into couch lock for a minute, because you'll give your body anxiety.
Yeah, and it could be a terrible experience, which would turn you away from it.
Yeah, and this leads us into a whole new section. So what we'll do is I'm going to give a shout out to some friends of Sick Call with Doc. We'll do a quick commercial break. I just wrote down a couple of questions. I'm sure Joe has more for you, Michael. And I want to talk more, get into like, I found this and it helped me with this. It helped me with this. And then maybe we get a little bit more specific on those things in case somebody's listening and can help them. And so we'll get into that after the break. I want to give a big shout out to our brothers and sisters of the Facebook group, Veterans Canada Community. This is a very special group that takes helping veterans very seriously, because we're all vets in it. And from growing advice on how to grow your own food to growing better medicine, better cannabis, the VCC helps by providing seeds to fellow veterans. Great knowledge, great fun, great camaraderie, a great place for veterans to feel at home. So come join their group on Facebook again, Veterans Canada Community. Together we stand, we learn, we grow.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Welcome to Every Day is a Saturday USMC Veteran, the podcast that shines light on the incredible stories of military veterans and first responders. Join us as we invite heroes to share their journeys, unpacking their experiences in service, the transition to civilian life, and the realities of overcoming or dealing with PTSD. From military service to everyday life, hear how they're navigating challenges and finding purpose in the world today. Each episode is a testament to resilience, hope, and the power of community. Tune in to Every Day is a Saturday USMC Veteran, because every day is worth celebrating. Follow on your favorite listening platform or go to www.edasusmcvet.com.
And we're back with Senior Airman Michael Wirtshafter. Shafter, you are from, I hear you say Delaware?
Yeah, Delaware. Yes,
Yeah.
that very East Coast state, south of Pennsylvania, north of Maryland.
They're in the Union?
Yeah, part of the Republic. Yeah.
I had to get you, brother. So before the break, we were talking about specific products or specific kinds of cannabis stuff that you tweaked and did your research with. I'm sure you found certain things that help certain things. Can you can you give us a little bit of that journey and what you found helps you specific?
All right. I started. All right. Easiest way to say it was I got in the state of Delaware. They allowed medicinal cannabis in 2014. I basically got my doctor to sign off on it. And I started first with inside the dispensaries and learning their strains and reading up on it. And went back to a resource that I had. For those of you that have been studying cannabis, the name Ed Rosenthal may ring a bell. He is the co-founder of Oaksterdam, which is the cannabis college in Oakland, California. I've had the honor of not only working with him, but studying and learning from him. And basically realizing that I had to be proactive and figuring out how to use the everyday things, which is basically food is something every day, and figuring out a way to infuse it so that I can go on about my life without smoking a joint in front of somebody and offending somebody.
Right.
Some states allow you to just smoke out in front of God and country, but not little old Delaware. Sorry.
Right. I wouldn't do it even if it was allowed. I just don't feel that way. It's not how I am. My medication is personal to me. You know, I don't want to go out and just hang out and be high out in public. That's not how I operate. I literally medicate myself, and I know that's what you do too, Michael. You know, it's not the party vibe when we're using our, you know, this medicine.
No, I mean, you can go down that hallway,
Sure.
but no, normally I don't.
Right. You know, you keep going. So you could get to that, you know, that hallway, like you said. But, you know, I really appreciate how you're talking, Michael, with the personal responsibilities. And, you know, because when it comes down to it, we are responsible for our own well-being, right? You can't count on everybody all the time. And so you might as well go into yourself, start doing the research on this cannabis. And, well, it's kind of fun to learn it, if I'm honest. But once you've learned it, man, it's really a beautiful feeling just to, like you said, loosen up your tight muscles, slow your mind down a little bit when it's too chaotic. You know, those things are what this cannabis really helps, man. And that's what we're trying to look for in, like, say, for instance, the delivery system, whether you're smoking a joint, you know, through flower, or if you're eating an edible, or you had to do a dab, a concentrate. You know, what is your best delivery? I'm assuming it's edibles.
Edibles for me, but let me explain. Make sure that the viewers realize this. Smoking flower, you're getting instant reaction, instant satisfaction to either your mind or your body.
Mm-hmm.
And edible, and full disclosure here, to get the chemical from the cookie, let's just say, hang on a second, I'll show you. This is 20 milligrams, double chocolate chip and mint. Okay, and this is what I've got munching right now. Where's the camera? There's the camera. That's 20 milligrams. So 2 or 3 of these, and I'm fine. I can go on about my day. Yes, that's 60 milligrams, but for the next 2 hours, I'm kosher.
Mm-hmm.
I consume approximately 1,500 to 2,000 milligrams a day to survive.
15 to 2,000, you said?
Yeah, and you understand we're not just dealing with the physical ailment of 2 major back operations and the chronic pain from it, but we're also addressing at times, we're addressing the effects of PTSD, or we're addressing high anxiety because my nerves are fried and frayed from whatever stimulus has aggravated or triggered me. So that's one of the reasons why I probably take more than the average Joe. When you're consuming an edible in your body, and the transfer of the chemical from food to your bloodstream has to have a binding mechanism, and that binding mechanism is called fats. You need to have something already in your system for an edible to respond promptly. You go eating an edible on an empty stomach, you're not getting your reaction when you want it, which is in that 10 to 20 minute window. You're getting it 2.5 hours later when you're not expecting it.
Right.
That is probably one of the reasons why veterans or those people that have tried edibles say they don't work for me, because you took them on an empty tummy. I'm sorry. You have to have a yogurt, a slice of cheese, a slice of pizza, a ham and cheese sandwich. You have to have something of fats in your system. You can even just drink some chocolate milk. You're getting fat into your system. Once that system has been activated, you then adding the edible gets it to transfer the chemical from the cookie to your bloodstream to your endocannabinoid system. I don't. That's the way I have figured it out, at least in my eyes. Now, if somebody studies it more and finds out that I missed a step or two, I'm sorry, but that's where I think it is, at least how it affects me and helps me.
So for you, I'm sorry, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Just so you're picturing, you know your lower body. My damage is to L3, L4, and L5 and S1, and those are permanent damages. I'm L3, L4, L5, I'm missing up to 30% of each one of those vertebrae, and my S1, I'm missing approximately 30% of it. 5%, which is your tailbone, which is what you sit on. That's one of the reasons why that's why you see me moving a lot, because once I stand still a little bit, it starts to tingle.
Yeah.
And I don't like it, so I just
it's typical with the Air Force guys. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's fascinating, Michael. Thank you for that, man. It's fascinating. So let me ask you this, for our listeners: do you find the THC CBD mix helps you most? CBD only? Is it sativa? Is it indica? How did you figure that out and fine tune that? And what's best for most of your ailments?
First 2 or 3 months, whether I was going through the dispensary or if I was buying it from somebody off the street, I would try to find the strain, research it. There are sources out there such as Leafly where you can study strains. But the main thing was keeping a journal and writing down what time I smoked or what time I ate and what I was experiencing at that time. And then 20 or 30 minutes later, writing down notes going, this helped this much or this helped that much. And knowing that at the time I could use what they had something called Gas Band and MK Ultra and something else at the dispensary. And that's where I started realizing, all right, there's more than just, there's variations of strains. And then of course, the state of Delaware did things slowly. Okay. We are only a state of approximately 900,000 people, not even 1 million in the state.
Yeah.
And so their movement of the medical program was very slow. A baby can walk faster than this.
Right.
So I started going underground again to growers I knew, people more on the West Coast. I was reaching out to Petaluma. I was reaching out to Humboldt County, and I was getting seeds sent back to me.
Nice.
Of the strains that I was studying and researching and figuring out, all right, I could use this strain that has 18.4 THC, but it has, by the books, 1.8 to 2.1% CBD in the strain, and that would help me in the morning. And I found that CBD in the morning or early afternoon, if it was whether it was an indica or a sativa, if it was CBD heavy, it kept me creative, energetic, active, and my pain management was still controlled. But later in the day, when you get home from work, 5:30, 6:30, you've had your full 8 to 12 hour shift, whatever the fuck, and you need to go something a little heavier. And that's where I found the heavier, dank, as we'd say, indica strains that had couch lock properties. I use couch lock because you'd end up sitting for 20 or 25 minutes with that glaze over your eyes going,
Yeah.
But you'd come back around going, shit, that was good.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering, Michael, and this is an honest question for an honest answer. During your magnificent research, transferring from big pharma, looking for a better answer for your life, did you quit big pharma cold turkey, brother, and then figure it out, or did you wean, figure it out, wean? Did you suffer under not taking nothing till you got it right, cold turkey, or did you find your own way?
That's that little stint of life where I basically walked away from the VA system and all the pills. Once the pill jars were empty, I didn't touch them. But by that time, I was mixing both alcohol and cannabis at the time. That's when I realized I couldn't do the two. And that's when I started realizing what cannabis could do for me.
Yeah, I would imagine there's a lot of negative reactions.
That first 2 or 3 weeks, it was a fifth of Jack or a bottle of Crown Royal or a bottle of Jose. And the wife was like, no, you can't keep going down this fucking road. You only got one goddamn liver and you can't afford another one. And I was reading during the day and drinking at night, and reading, the studying, the research, the going out and buying the $10 bag and saying, yeah, okay, I see some benefits to it. Then getting and finding out that your doctor will sign off on it so you can get a state card. Yeah, give me that state card, because now I've got a proactive path to get what I need, and I don't need GlaxoSmithKline or AstraZeneca or Johnson & Johnson, or I don't need any of these guys. I need you in my stock portfolio. I don't need you in my fucking bloodstream.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's facts, man.
Wow, Joe, and we've similar stuff we hear. You're a combat veteran. Expound how. I mean, so this is where I'm going with it. What takes more courage, to serve in time of combat, or to save your life once you're home? Have the courage to save yourself, knowing if you don't do something, you're done. I think it takes a lot of courage, Michael, to do what you did. Man. To say enough's enough. I want my life. I want to live. I want to make a difference in something in this world besides do my duty, take the pills, and go bye-bye. You know?
I'm sorry.
I get so angry sometimes about that shit, man.
There might be those veterans, brothers or sisters, that do have that hook somewhere, where that if the pills damage their pancreas or their kidneys or their liver, or they need a blood transfusion or this, that, and the other, that they're all covered. But some of us, we're only rated to a certain percent, and you're not going to have everything covered, and you still don't have those deep pockets. So fuck it. I'm going to go back to something God gave me, because God made the compounds that man has to use to make the pills. I'm going to go straight to something that God gives me, and there ain't no fucking middleman.
Right.
Yeah, cannabis is one of hundreds of things that can help you from the wilderness, man.
Yeah.
One of hundreds of thousands, probably.
I mean, just wild chamomile itself, guys. You grind it down, you stick it in some water, you heat it up, you drink it, and it relaxes you.
Yeah. There's so many benefits to the herbs out there that grow naturally in your area, in your yard, and that's something that I've been getting into, the herbology of it, and realizing what it does for the human body. It was a thing before, but then money decided to be made, and everything went sideways. And I'm over the whole pill situation, just like Michael. Again, Rod, yes, man, we hear this every time. Every veteran I talk to has this same problem. And now, with that being said, just like Michael was saying, sometimes through our medication problems that we run into, we may need to keep on a man-made medication for the rest of our life, just because of the injury that we sustained trying to take care of another injury. It's factual. However, with cannabis helping, for me, mostly it helps my mind. Like I said, it slows down the thought process, which can be all over the place. And I know you, Michael, I know you experience this, and Rod too. It'll slow that down and get you to focus on one individual task. But anyway, and that's where I can think clearly and navigate through my problems. That's one thing that we need to talk more about. Is up here is where a lot of us are struggling. The pain, we'll get through it. We've been through it for a lot of years. We'll get through that. But the psychological aspect that comes from the pain, that's what cannabis really does a number on for me.
Yeah. And you did bring up another thing, Michael, that I wanted to touch on because it kind of hit me in my heart. Survivor's guilt.
Yes,
guilt. It is, I don't think there's anything more detrimental to your soul is guilt. And there's ways to cope and process and work your way through that guilt. But I think we lose so many of our brothers and sisters when they don't have the ability to figure that one out. What have you guys, either of you, learned anything about that with cannabis and going into a spiritual, more sense of a holistic way of living helps with that guilt? Because I remember I suffered from a lot of guilt, from poor decisions and hurting people, and guilt is a killer.
The two men of the cloth that I turned to, one a Baptist priest and my rabbi, both of them know I use cannabis, but I've had to have that why me guilt conversation with both of them to get different perspectives, to be able to come to grips with certain things, because in reality, the coins lining up the way they did for the shit to happen, I think it would have been 1 in a million. But I can't change the past. I look back upon it and hope that it gives me some clarity for a moment of why I'm looking backwards to look then forwards. If the man or woman upstairs said we're keeping you around so that you can educate other people to be proactive in their own healthcare, so be it.
I say to all our fellow veterans and those people that are listening, before you check out, check in with us. Please.
Yeah.
You are a worthy person, worth being here. And all your gifts are being clouded by pills and guilt and psychological issues and disfigurement and things, ungodly stuff. But man, I've seen so many survival stories of one bringing great things to others and helping each other out, man. I'm really glad you came here. I'm really glad you did the research, brother. And you did you were a battle buddy to yourself.
Yeah.
And I applaud you, my brother, for that.
You have to be proactive. If you want to make sure that the organs that you have now are still going to be functioning in 10, 20, 30 years down the road, unfortunately you have to be proactive, because the pills that they make for you, they're still no good for you. They may help you, they may solve your problem, but I'm talking big picture, long term. Do you really want to be taking 26 pills a day for the rest of your life? Or do you want to figure out how to wean it down so that you're maybe only taking 1 or 2? And that 1 or 2, because cannabis and or its byproducts don't address or help the ailment.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about it, and you asked me about how what I have found that helps me, let me preface a few things. When I started Flowers and Food in March of 2020, it was for two purposes. One, to take care of the 14,000 card carriers in the state of Delaware because the medical program wasn't doing it. But at the same time, I wanted to take a bite out of Big Farm because they had taken a bite out of me for years. And the first thing that I actually experienced and learned how to make was hash infused gummies. It's just gelatin, hash, sugar, flavor, and coloring. That's it.
Mhm.
And I found that it not only, now hash gummies, I still eat them. I prefer a cookie now, but at the time the hash gummies would help me get my 6.5 hours of sleep. I also at the time started finding other veterans that were dealing with A, B, or C, and started doling it out to them. And they were sharing it with their friends and their friends. And next thing you know, I'm getting an 81-year-old lady showing up my front door going, I hear you got hash gummies. I need them for cancer. And she tells me her story that she is a stage 2 cancer fighter at the time, and she knows that hash helps her. I've now got a clientele base of about 30 regulars, and out of those 30 regulars, 20 to 40% are dealing with cancer, whether it's first stage, second stage, or third stage. We get to fourth stage, I can slow you down, but I can't stop the train.
Something tells me, and we're going to go into your what you're doing with your own edibles to help other veterans and other people. I bet you're not the kind of person who treats in streets. We used to call it in the medicine world, treat and street. Something's telling me that if you've got a veteran who reaches out to you, I'm going to go ahead and assume that you're going to be helping that person find their way a little bit. A personal touch from a fellow veteran goes a long way, brother, especially when you're trying to help. So am I right with that assumption that you do help a lot of people, educate, make them do their own research, but help them along?
I provide them names and sources of resources, such as Ed Rosenthal has plenty of written literature out there that you can get, both hard copy and paperback and or online, to help educate you, whether it's in the horticultural side of it. And that's another aspect that veterans need to understand. Horticultural therapy is so godly beneficial for you. Do you know the endorphins that are released into your body when you just stick your hands into fresh soil?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that is beneficial, and just to your own well-being. It doesn't matter whether you're a veteran or not, but in our case, we're vets. Horticultural therapy, whether you're growing roses or fruits and vegetables, or you're actually growing your own medicine, it is not only beneficial for your soul and your heart, but it enriches your mind. It makes you want to go and look and say, well, what causes this to do this so that I can get a better yield, whether it's a better yield of cucumbers or a better yield of cannabis. It doesn't matter. But it's horticultural therapy, and that is one of the other benefits to being around cannabis. Whether you're actually growing it in soil or a hydro system, ebb and flow, or you're working with the cannabis after it's been harvested, and you're actually getting to work with curing it or collecting the trichomes in the hash for making another byproduct from it, or you're taking the fresh crop buds and colas and instantly freezing them so that you can then put them into a nugget smasher and get live rosin from it. It's all beneficial. This whole plant is good for you. You could take the stalks of it, chop it down, and simmer a low tea, and it's great for you.
A little bit of lemon, though. A little bit of lemon.
A little bit.
So how can our listeners, our fellow veterans who, let's say, haven't gone down the road at all, what's the name of your company, how we can find you the easiest. And so if there's anybody out there who's just got this in the back of their head going, God, I wish I felt comfortable getting a hold of somebody. How can
you
our people reach
to me? I got no problem somebody reaching out to me. Just tell me that you saw this on this channel, and I'll open the book. But I don't hide it either. I have a Facebook page under my name, and Flowers in Food, Flowers IN Food, has its own Facebook page.
Yeah, and the flower is a leaf. It's awesome.
Let's see if I can do this good enough to get the camera to cooperate.
Probably back it off a little bit for us, brother.
There's the logo.
Flowers.
Flowers and Food, right up.
Flowers
there.
and Food.
Gotcha.
That's really awesome.
Well, the reason why I said that, guys, like I said, I infused 16 to 24 sticks of butter, and I infuse one of these every batch too. This is 32 ounces. This is infused sunflower oil for cooking with, because think about your regular meals that you cook. When I'm cooking just for myself, the whole fucking meal's infused. I'll saute my fruits, my vegetables in this. I'll put lightly based chicken in this, and then put my seasoning over top of it. Yes, you're not getting a lot, but you're getting a few milligrams. But I've done an infused Thanksgiving dinner so that by the time you're done the final course, you've consumed 55 milligrams.
Nice. That's cool.
I'll tell you, Michael, this is fascinating to me. And especially those people out there that love to cook, man, you can really do some cool things. Let me ask, back when you were on the pharmaceuticals, I'm going to make another assumption that you are way in a different place today than you were back then.
35 to 45 pounds lighter just because I'm not taking pills anymore. My wife noticed.
No water retention, no liver fattiness.
Nothing. The only thing, like I said, the only thing I still have to take, I still take a cholesterol pill, a stat, like Crestor or something like that.
Well, we got to find you the right cannabinoid. No.
Wait, if I could, I wanted to say one thing about back to the whys or the guilt, the survivor's guilt. Listen, Michael, I have a pretty similar story to you. Okay, we can get into that some other time because, like you, I don't necessarily want to be speaking on that. However, survivor's guilt was a big thing for me. One thing that helped me through, and I will tell you right now, I can see from the outside. I've known you for quite some time, Michael, and I've seen you. If it anything, the smallest little thing, because I know you've answered some questions, but at minimum, you are a beacon of light for other veterans to see that even though you go through the shit, okay, you can heal yourself and you can be better. And then the fact that you're teaching people and you're trying to help them with the edibles, you're creating medicine and you're teaching people how to do that. Plus being the beacon of light, Michael, if that's not answering at least a part of your question as to why, why not you? You're here. You have a bigger mission, brother. And so keep following that. I appreciate you and I am proud of you for doing what you've done.
Amen, brother.
Look, you can reach out to me anytime, direct message me, say, hey, I'm such and such, and I just watched your video on this channel, and I use cannabis, and I'm interested in edibles. I will direct you to learning about certain things, like to give you an example, to infuse my butters. I have 3 magical butter machines that I use to infuse butter with, but there's other machines called like a Levo. I think it's LEVO that you can use to infuse oil or butters with too. So it all depends on your preference. It depends on your pocketbook or wallet. Look, you got to eat. I've gotten to the stage, at least in my own capacity, where, as I've said, if I want to infuse an entire meal, I can. Side note, the only thing I haven't figured out how to infuse yet is tomato sauce. It's because the acidity of the tomato acid offsets your THC. don't waste your flour. Don't waste your distillate. Don't waste your oil trying to figure it out. I'm still working at it. For those people that want to figure it out, learn how to infuse the pasta. You infuse the pasta and make it from scratch. Then you have your regular tomato sauce.
Gotcha.
And make sure you have some sausage or ground beef in your spaghetti.
Nice.
Because the fats will transfer from the pasta through the beef or sausage into your dietary system, into your bloodstream.
Cannabinoids are oil soluble, fat solubles, not water soluble. So you got to have the oils or the fats or the fat contented oils, like olive oils or the coconut oil. I believe is the number one, right, Michael? You're the food guy.
Coconut is the number one, but I have it infused. I prefer sunflower oil because it has a high burn count. I can like roast something up at 450 degrees, and I'm not gonna get a flashover in the oven.
Gotcha.
All right, guys. Well, listen.
People, when you're dealing with your concentrates, you need to make sure you're getting purity. Since you touched on CBD and people are seeing it more and more, guys and gals that are paying attention, do you buy your medicine from a gas station? So if you're seeing CBD at your smoke shop or your gas station, no, you need to make sure you're going through a dispensary or going through a source that is vetted, because there's too much bullshit out there that you're going to waste your money on. At least make sure that if you're going to spend your money on buying, as I said, whether it's distillate, whether it's flour, whether it's cash, whether it's RSO, which is Rick Simpson oil, which is another concentrate that is used to address cancer. Make sure you're getting it from a reliable source. Please, 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 please. Look, if you've got a backroom deal with somebody that's in a legal industry, in a legal state, and they're actually doing it legally, and you're able to obtain X, Y, or Z from them, make sure that you get your THC numbers. Make sure you get your CBD numbers. Make sure you weigh things properly, because if you infuse incorrectly, you will not only, you might like the effect for yourself, but others that if you're sharing your creations with, they may not.
Right. Yeah, I kind of see you like we have here in Michigan, Michael, kind of like more of a caregiver role for medicinal type patients. I'd be the same, kind of thing. And where the person who's making it cares and has pride in what they're doing and making it. It's not you got a business and everything, but you're not a corporation blowing out millions of gummies every day, And
I do about $20,000 a year myself, just me.
You know what? And you make a lot of friends too, brother.
Probably 25% of that goes back into two of the veteran programs I work with. And that's another veterans that are shut-ins that want to grow your own medicine. There are programs out there. There are veteran groups that will help you. That's one of the other things that I do is on a Saturday morning while I'm out and about dropping stacks of newspapers for a local media. I've got 2 or 3 veterans that I pop in their house at 3 o'clock in the morning. They're awake, but they need help growing because they're bound in a wheelchair, or they're already missing one leg and they've already had a long day and they can't spend the next 2 hours, cleaning up plants and getting them watered and making sure the pH count is right and lighting and timing. And so I stick my head in and I help other people to make sure that they can do their own thing.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing.
Before we head out, I want to give a special thank you guys today to Brian Roof, our producer.
Thank you,
brother. United States Marine Corps combat vet. He's our producer. He's our battle buddy. He's looking out for us. And brother, I can't thank you enough for all you've done for us. To our listeners that are starting to build, thank you for sharing your day with us. I hope to God we can make a difference in people's lives by sharing good information and having camaraderie and a little fun all in the same day. And to my blood brother, Joe Misfit Glenn, the best co-host I could ever ask for.
I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you.
Brother. And Michael Wirtshafter, you are a hero to me. Flowers and food.
Mhm.
And thanks for all you're doing. And thank you for having the courage to be on our show, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate the invitation. Look, if I can help one person, I feel like I've done my job. I know I'm going to probably help more than just one, but you have to be proactive and you have to eat. So why not combine the two and make it taste good and make you feel good at the same time?
Yep.
Your navigation lights are now back on, brother. Get sailing.
Yeah, man. Get after it.
I love you, brother. Joe, love you. Brian, thank you. Y'all have a great day. Thanks for showing up and checking us out. Have a great day.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.